We're building my 77 Chevy K5 Blazer. Well, the trim that was on it was pretty much gone. So we got with Auto Metal Direct and picked up one of their Chevy pickups, 73 to 80, their standard side molding for a short bed. This fits from the doors forward, but we're going to show you what to do to make the rear fit. As you can see, the factory trim, it's pretty beat up, come right to the edge of the door. Well, the new AMD piece sticks out past onto the door for a little ways. So we have to cut this and then recreate this end to make this look factory.
Chunk out of this, just so it's less to be working with, because that way this isn't hanging all in the way. So I'm just getting this rough.
You got marks of where.
Yeah, this is where I need to end up, but I'm going to need about 3/16 here. So that's going to be my bend line. So this was my test piece. We're going to end up, you'll have a tiny little seam in the corner, but I mean, you kind of have no choice. It won't be fully stamped. And then we're going to roll that edge. So, and then you can also put the clip inside, which will give you like a backing, almost like a buck to it. Hammer on it a little bit. So this was with rough pliers. And then I just went and got pliers that have a smooth tip, so it won't mar up the aluminum as bad. So if you can get yourself a set of pliers with no teeth at all, that would be optimum. But
Always measure and mark twice and cut once.
so that's my end line. My grind line will end up being, let's see if I square it off to 2. So about 3/16. Better to be long and you can grind it back. So that'll be your tipping point. And then if you leave, say, you can basically go 1/4 inch, and then after the fold you could buzz it. So I'm going to go 1/4. And that'll be my line. 1/4 past what I want my end result to be. So this is going to be, this 1/4 inch will be the meat that'll fold over. So I'm not cutting on my mark because the tin snips will squeeze this lip and you'll kind of mess that lip up. So that's about as close as I can get with the tin snips. The rest I'm going to do with a 2-inch roll lock. This is 80 grit. 80 grit buzzes it pretty quick. This is very, very soft aluminum. If you do like 36 or anything really like that, you're really going to just chew it up bad. So take your time with 80 and then finish with 150 on your last passes when you're doing the touch up on the back side. But to knock all this meat down, the 80 grit will be fine. Just know aluminum does retain the heat, so it's really warm all the way down to here. So aluminum stays hot for a while. You might have to let it, if you're not used to it, just let it cool down for 5 minutes or so. But
We even left the protective film on the molding just to keep from any scratches during this process.
So now that's going to be your finished of the back side when it folds over. But now you need to get these corners out so it lets you just fold over the single layer. So now when you take these corners out, you're going to want to take them down to where that's flat, because that's going to be the part that would fight you when you try to bend it over. Okay, so once you've ground those corners out, you need this corner right in here to be really tight. A roll lock disc is not going to get this little corner really square. And then also the sticky inserts they give you are formed to the exact shape of the body line. So you can slide one in and then go up and use that as your gauge to make sure that it's straight all the way across. And then you're just going to want to file these corners out. This aluminum is real soft, so you want a perfectly square corner. If you try to do it all with the Rolock, you can go too far really fast, and then you're ruining this piece of trim, and you're going to be pretty pissed because I don't know if they even sell one piece at this point in time. So I'm leaving more to show you guys than I normally do. I normally take it right here all the way flush till my grinder's hitting this at the same time, but I didn't want to make it look like it's that simple because it's not. We had a practice piece. Oh, that's the thing too. So you guys will be able to practice the AMD kit. So the bed pieces are longer, but they give you these little pieces right here that normally go on the cab of a truck. So this little piece, I cut it down, it was about this long. This little piece will go in between the bed and the cab, or the bed and the door on the cab. So I practiced and did this edge. That was my practice one. So you have two of these, four of these, two on the bottom, two on the top. So you actually have 4 pieces that you can practice with to kind of get it down. This was my first practice run, so that's why I'm showing you guys that this is where I ground the back corners down. And then I slid that up, made sure my edge was straight, and then tipped it over like that. All right, guys. So now we've ground all this flat with all the ribs. So basically the whole surface now is flat. I filed these little corners down in here. Now I'm going to remove about an 1/8 inch more now. So I marked my original tipping spot just so that I could use this spacer inside that they give you the stick on to give me my straight edge. Now that I have my straight edge and that's where I want to bend it, I'm going to slide this down and I'm going to notch right here. I'm going to take out another like about 1/8 of an inch, but only on this rollover part right here. I'm not going to take the side out. I'm only going to take this little notch out so that when this folds up, it's not hitting that. It has somewhere to rest inside this edge. So about 1/8 of an inch right here, but only on the inside one that's coming, that's bent over and in, not the piece that goes sideways. All right, guys, so this is the stock one again. So before I bend the edge, I'm going to hold them right there, exactly where they go. So you're going to see right there, I haven't bent it yet, but I took that notch down just a hair shorter than the stock one. So that way the thickness of the metal when I fold it over is going to end up being the same as the stock piece. So that's what the back looks like. You can slide the spacer up there to make sure that your line is straight. This is one of the sticky things, and it's molded to the shape of the trim. So I just leave it in there to give me a perfect marking edge and filing edge when I'm holding it. And now I peel this back on the final. Even though this protects it, you don't want your pliers like slipping, so I peel back the protective film. I'm going to stick a piece of masking tape just to give me my brake line. So I'm going to put that right on my notches. So you're going to want to start on your notch on this side. Make sure it's straight on the other side. So that's going to be my brake line right there. And like I said, so these are smooth. If you can get pliers that have like a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch smooth jaw, I couldn't find any. This little last part's smooth, so you won't have a bunch of little knurled up stuff. When I did this one was with like a regular set of snap-on pliers that have a really mean grip. So you can see how it just kind of, the knurled part ate it up a little bit, which you could probably sand it and polish it out, but we just went and got some smooth pliers from Lowe's real quick, just so that, you know, it gives us just a little less damage, we're hoping, so it's less polishing and less work in the end. So now you're just gonna go right inside this piece, because when you tip your plier, it would hit this notch. So you're gonna wanna be right inside that edge and just give it a little bit. Come in, give it another one. You just go real slow as you're doing this. This stuff is super soft. So that gives you like your initial line. And then you're just gonna basically keep working it slow, and don't try to, you know, unless you have some of those duckbill pliers that can grab the whole 1 inch, 1.25 inches at one time. But even then this face would be in your way. So if you have those thin, like sheet metal pliers that sheet metal workers have, you could take this lip off, but then you won't have the rigidity. So we're just trying to make it look so that we'll just have a tiny seam here and not a big notch when you put it back on the car. So the smooth pliers did a little bit better. We're still gonna have to sand and hand polish it out. Once you get about that far, I usually slide the plastic piece back up in here, and then now you could just tip it with a body hammer, because this stuff is very, very soft. Like very, very soft. So this little plastic spacer that they send you, sometimes this little corner will bend over, so you know, you gotta get little pieces out of your way. But I just slide that back up, gives you like a backing. I keep a lot of pressure on it with my thumb, and then just barely tap the trim. And so that's about it right there. That's the rolled edge. That was stock. You know what I mean? So this little bevel, you obviously can't get that. Now I'll file the little burr right there. You're gonna have this tiny little seam in the corner, but I mean, they don't make blazer trim, so you know, Marquet used to, everybody knows that, but we gotta all make it work. So now, that's why I gave myself some length on it to give me extra leverage. And then now I'll just take my grinding wheel now and buzz this off, and that'll take it back flush where I want it to be. But I leave it long just to give you more leverage when you're working with it and using the hammer. You know, now it's only gonna be the thickness of the trim. So now I'm only gonna leave, you know, about 3/16 right here. And then that'll be it. So. All right, guys, so now I took down that edge, took my angle grinder with the 80 grit. Now this is 150 sandpaper. This will just take the last little file stuff off. Like I said, this stuff is really, really pliable, really soft. So I'll hit that. I hit those corners. I try to go one way on the corner, not back and forth, so I don't mar it up too bad. Tiny little bevel will take all the burrs off. And I mean, realistically, we're gonna paint this trim, we're changing the color on the black, but if you just bought this black and you're very careful, mind you, this is no polishing, no sanding, no nothing. You have a tiny, tiny seam on the corner, tiny, tiny seam on that corner. I can feel it, so I'm gonna just take my tiny, tiny little file, you know, file this all perfect. And then you could literally almost hand polish this stuff. You could see it lost a little bit of its luster from the pliers, but, you know, like I said, in comparison, we have I know everybody loves the 77 trim, and I know you're all gonna be mad at us, but whatever. So this was the beat up trim. That's the brand new one. It's not dull, it has the protective coating, it's nice and polished. We now have a piece of blazer trim that looks pretty dang close, even though they don't make it. So that's how we do it. This is honestly our second time ever doing it, so we're just trying to help out other people. If you want to buy the AMD kit, we're also doing stuff like adding door clips that people usually don't do, just to keep it from being floppy. So that if people bitch about the trim, but 99% of the time it's the installer and just kind of people in a rush and just throwing the trim on. So if you want to make it look good, just take your time, tape it all on, proof fit everything. So there's a ton of little things you can do to make the trim really, really nice and fit good. Like this was about a 1/16 of an inch, which sounds dumb to some people. So we took the 1/16 inch out here to bring this piece in to fit exactly like the stock one, even though it was a hair off, but we're trying to make it as perfect as possible. And you probably wouldn't even notice that if you were to, you know, come by at a show and this is butted up to the door trim. So came out pretty good, and those smooth pliers definitely helped, and hopefully this helps out you guys.
So we put this piece on with a piece of tape temporarily, since it's not final assembly. But as you can see, it fits just like a stock one would. So now we have to tape the top on to get our mark.
So this will be the same as the bottom one, guys. We already showed you how to do that in. We just did that one because it's easier to handle on camera. With this one, you're going to want to have a buddy help you because it's 6.5 feet long and you don't want to kink it. So as you're flipping and cutting and doing everything on this same corner, so we're going to do this edge exact same way we did this one, but you're just going to need your buddy to support that on a blanket on the end of the table or whatever. So your normal gap is about 5/16. You know, we normally cut it at 1/4, but to make it easy, just as a rule of thumb, just mark it on your door line. That'll be plenty for the tip. So just cut it at your door line, grind the notches like we did, put the spacer in for your straight edge, file the edge, fold it over, and grind it down. You'll have this one ending up just like that one, and there you go. It'll be a truck kit, all new trim, and it's on a Blazer, not a truck. So good to go.
So the whole passenger side is test fit. Everything's ready to go. And as you can see, these pieces we cut have OEM fitment. So now you can take your AMD truck molding kit and adapt it to a Blazer. This is just our way of doing it. This is not the way that anyone should say we recommend you have to do it, but now you can get an idea for you Blazer guys that are looking for new trim.